What's going on, Club Kayfabe? This is the Danny Day experience, as Jan Batista calls it. I had a lot of fun answering these questions. Jan Batista really put me on a loop because his questions are ridiculously long and drawn out, and I actually had to write some of my answers down. But I guess I'll start from the top. The first question is from Matt Hardman. He said, Danny Dang experience. Should I ask Johnny Mick? I don't really know what the Danny Dang experience is. I'm pretty boring, so Johnny, well, I don't know what he would say. So yeah, ask him. He may tell you something more exciting than what I'll tell you. Next question is from Johnny Mick. Favorite wrestling theme song? Definitely Batista's. Just because I love Batista, and I await the day that his theme song hits again, and I will freak out. Least favorite theme song is probably, I don't know, Dude Love, Mankind. There's a lot that I don't like, but if I had to choose, I'm gonna go Dude Love because it's annoying. The next question is from Chevon. I think I said that right. If I didn't, I apologize. From Mr. Ferguson. The most influential moment I've watched in pro wrestling. I've been watching since I can remember. I'm 28 now, so I have seen a lot of wrestling, but there was a lot of times where, there was one time where I didn't watch for almost 10 years. So I haven't really witnessed a lot, I guess, live or as it happened. But I think one of the more influential things that I've seen is Hogan Rock at WrestleMania. That match, is a culmination of what wrestling used to be, what it turned into, and the energy from the crowd is just great. The match was good, even though I hate Hogan. I thought that it was just overall a great story and told just perfectly. So the next question comes from Jan. And to sum it up, I had to create an all-Asian WrestleMania. And so I went ahead and created it. It had to have Divas matches. It had to have stipulations, celebrities. So basically what I came up with is America the Beautiful would be sung by Korean pop superstar Psy, because it just sounded right, even though he's not American, but whatever. The first match would be Taka Michinoku versus Yoshitatsu. Just two, small, high-flying guys I think would be fun to watch. The next match would be Tiger Mask and Captain New Japan versus Sato and Terry Boy. Stipulation on that match would be if Tiger Mask and Captain New Japan lose, they have to unmask themselves. And if Sato and Terry Boy lose, they have to retire. The third match I have is Tajiri versus Takeshi Iizuka, in a cage match. Two kind of hardcore guys I think would be fun in a cage setting. The next match I have is Toru Yano versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think that match would be. They're just two New Japan guys that are just wild, and that would just be basically heel versus face. That would just be a straight brawl. I think something we want out of Triple H and Brock Lesnar that we won't get, but I think that's where that sits. The next match I have would be Hakushi versus Hayabusa. I just think that would be a fun match to watch. I just recently got into New Japan Wrestling and Japanese stuff, so I I was glad that Jen brought this up because I was able to put in input from things that I've been watching. I have a Divas match where it's a fatal four-way between Gail Kim, Lena Yada, Che, and Savannah. It's a Divas match. I wouldn't even watch it, so it's whatever. I have a celebrity match where it's a triple threat. I have Jackie Chan versus Chow Yun Fat versus Jet Li, just because I had to put some Asian celebrities into a match with each other. And then I had my main events. I have 3 kind of big ones. The first one would be Jado versus Bushi for the IWGP Junior Weight title, or excuse me, Junior Heavyweight title. Just 2 other bigger names in New Japan Wrestling. I wanted a gimmick match as a main event, so I had Mr. Fuji versus Ono, just for fun, I guess. There wouldn't be any reason behind that match except for a 5-minute filler. And then my main event would be Okada versus Nakamura versus Suzuki. Basic 3 of the main guys in New Japan Wrestling. Now I'm just having issues with everything. I just think that those guys culminate New Japan Wrestling and what they have to offer to the world. So I would want to see that for sure. Moving on. Yes, and I did write these questions down so that I could have easy access to them as I'm doing this. I'm trying to have my iPad not fall over here, so bear with me. The next question from Johnny Mick is the most expensive pair of shoes I own. The most expensive pair of shoes that I currently own is a pair of Cole Haan dress shoes. They were $200. Cole Haan is it was owned by Nike, so they're dress shoes that have Nike Air in them. Yeah, they're really comfortable. Most comfortable dress shoes I've ever had. So that's the most expensive pair that I currently own. He also asked why I won't move to California, because that's where he currently is. And I don't know. Moving to California has never really crossed my mind. But maybe I'll think about it, Johnny, just for you. Because all of kayfabe knows that I love you. Chevin Ferguson again asks my favorite diva of all time. I'm going to go with, growing up and watching wrestling, Deborah always stuck out to me, and being me now, I have an infatuation with older women for some reason. So she kind of bears it all in that she's hot, she's older, and she would be my favorite diva of all time. Chris O'Mealy asks the best and worst things about being a West Coast guy. One of the worst things about being a West Coast guy is that I'm not from the West Coast. I'm from Virginia originally, and so I don't like the West Coast. It sucks, and yeah, I'm just not a fan of it. The people are different. I miss rude people in the East Coast. I miss everything about it. But being on the West Coast is it's a little bit more laid back than the East Coast, I guess. People are friendlier. It's nice. We have different food chains over here. I don't know. I don't really know any pros, I guess. But the next question is from Jan, and he asks what my ethnic background is. I'm actually Vietnamese and Pakistani. My dad's dad was half Pakistani, half Vietnamese. So my dad is a 4th, making me an 8th Pakistani, because you don't know any Vietnamese people that can grow a beard like this. Doesn't happen often. So yeah, so that's my ethnic background. Robert Doss asks, if you were a manager and wanted to bring wrestlers from Japan, who would you pick? I would pick Okada, Suzuki, and who else would I pick? I would pick Nakamura. So the three guys I had in my main event of my Asian WrestleMania. Again, because they great workers, great matches, great characters. I don't understand anything that I watch, but just watching it makes me, makes me like their characters more. Just because I can see their characters in the way they are without even understanding. So, kind of the one thing that Triple H does good is he can cut a promo without saying anything really good, but when he starts talking, it kind of sucks. So the next question comes from Glenn, and he asks what my favorite pay-per-view is and what my least favorite pay-per-view is and why. I think being biased, my favorite pay-per-view of all time is Survivor Series 1995, because I was there. It's the first event that I remember going to. I got tickets for Christmas, and I remember being there, being the biggest Bret Hart fan, and Bret Hart versus Diesel for the WWF title was just, watching that was just great. You know what I mean? The match was great. It was played out well. And I own it on DVD, and I watch it often because I like to relive that. My least favorite pay-per-view, probably Over the Limit 2011, because I was there, and it was so terrible. And the best part of that night was Bret Hart coming out after Michael Cole lost to Jerry Lawler in the Kiss My Foot match. I marked out pretty hard when Bret Hart came out at the very end. Next question is from Robert Doss, asks if I follow anime cartoons, and I do not. Therefore, I don't have a favorite. So, sorry. I've never gotten into anime. I don't know why, and a lot of people tell me that they're fun to watch and good to watch, and that, but I just don't watch them. The next question is from Randy Regan, and he asked what my finishing move would be. I really like, growing up I loved figure 4 leg locks. I know they're kind of played out now, but I really enjoy those. I enjoy the rock bottom. The stunner is great, but if I had to choose one particular finishing move, I would probably choose Batista Bomb, just because my love for Batista is just, I don't know, it's unfeigned by any other wrestler, I think. I think me and Johnny are the only two people that actually like Batista. I hope Jan would, since he's Filipino and they share the same last name. So the next question is from Dan Peck. He asks, in a dang bang, would it be the Bellas, Sable, and Tori Wilson, or Extreme Exposure? Personally, I would choose the Bellas. Sable and Tori Wilson, definitely good-looking ladies, but I'm a brunette guy myself, and the Bellas are brunettes, and I think they look good. So that's who would win in a dang bang. Dan Peck, the Bella twins. The next question is from Eric Stenzlin. He asks if between RG3, Andrew Luck, and Russell Wilson, I have to kill one, fuck one, marry one. I would probably kill Andrew Luck because I don't care about him at all. I would marry Robert Griffin III because I'm a Redskins fan, so I would like him to be around, and I don't want to violate him. And I guess that would leave Russell Wilson for me to have sex with, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that question. Chris O'Mealy asks, when it comes to your nationality, what stereotypes do you enjoy and follow, and what do you think people need to get the F over? I'm Asian. We're good at math. We are terrible drivers. We have small eyes. We're short. I have small eyes. I'm a good driver. I'm terrible at math. I am short, and that's going to come up later. I think Brenda asked me that. But I think most importantly in being serious is Asian stereotype is very family-oriented. No pun intended there. And my family and I are very close. I would basically do anything for them. So that's one thing that I do follow is family is basically first to me. So if anyone were to mess with my family, you're basically messing with me, and that's not a good thing. And you can ask Johnny; he knows how close my family is. So, and everyone has terrible drivers, whether you're Asian or you're white or black or Mexican or Hispanic or whatever. I think it's the person driving the car. Yes, Asian people drive slow, but so do Indian people. But I guess they're Asian too. So maybe people can't get over the fact that we're bad drivers, but just get over it, because there's bad drivers everywhere. Next question, Johnny Mick. My favorite Workaholics episode. I don't know if you guys watch Workaholics, but I enjoy the show a lot, and there's a lot of wrestling things tied into it. There was an episode where the three guys had to find a TV because they were hosting a WrestleMania party, and they ended up cheating to win a sales event at their work, and they got a fridge that had a TV on it that was probably 5 inches big, and they were all huddled around it watching it, and one of the guys, Blake, was dressed up as Randy Savage, and it was hilarious. They ended up destroying the TV during WrestleMania, so that's my favorite one. Jan asks, same thing, kill one, marry one, fuck one, between Jamie Chung, The Rock, and Nicole, I don't know how to say her last name, from the Pussycat Dolls. I would probably kill Jamie Chung because I don't really like Asian girls. So, yeah. And I would definitely probably marry The Rock for financial reasons, stability. And then I would have relations with Nicole because she's good looking, I guess. But again, it's the Asian thing. I would enjoy it because you'd be weird to not, but you know what I mean. And then Jan had a long question that I didn't write down, but basically it comes down to it was the Asian contingency plan has broken up, and members of the group have gone to 2 popular Asian gangs, the Triads and the Yakuza. Johnny and I, Jan, have been accepted into the Triads, while Robert Doss and James, I can't pronounce his last name, but I know he's Filipino, have been accepted into the Yakuza. You're the wild card and both sides want you, but wait, what's this? Johnny dangles a pair of kicks that you've always wanted, but in an attempt to win your loyalty, there's an ACP emblemized in gold with your name across the logo in a fancy Old English style font. It doesn't end there. In an attempt to ante up the pot, Robert dangles an extra ringside seat ticket to the next WrestleMania with a backstage pass to the VIP section to wine and dine with The Rock after the event. What do you do? What do you do? To honestly answer the question, I would probably join the triads, mainly because Johnny is my best friend, and I've chatted with Jan, and I know him, as opposed to Robert and James. I don't know them. I've never really interacted with them, and so as fun as WrestleMania would be, I don't know how fun it would be with people I don't know. So, solely based on the fact that I know Johnny and Jan, I would choose to join their gang, regardless. The next question comes from Matt Hardman. Same thing, Mickie James, Lita, Johnny Mick. I would marry Mickie James because I really like her. I think she's extremely beautiful, and she looks like she could be marriage material. Maybe not when she was in WWE and all psycho and lesbian-ish, but I would probably kill Lita because I don't know. I just don't like her. And then I would be with Johnny because that would make all his dreams come true, I guess. The next question comes from Ashley Mick through Johnny, who wants me to answer what my favorite family tradition is. As close as we are as a family, we don't have a lot of traditions. There's one that we do during Christmas. Is my mom is a big fan of watching Minute to Win It. So she watches the games and she gets all these ideas, and so during the course of the year she chooses a few of the games that she enjoys, and we do a kind of a white elephant where everyone brings a present and we put it in a pot, and then you choose numbers at random, and you then have to play one of these games that you draw for your gift. And we do it every year, and it's really fun. So that's my favorite family tradition. Next question is from Johnny, and he asks Tupac or Biggie, and I'm going to go with Biggie because I'm not a big fan of West Coast rap. And then Jan says he's going to take it to the extreme and ask Michael Jackson or Prince, and I'm going to go with Michael Jackson. I'm not a big Prince fan. He's a little too weird for me. Next question is from Johnny. My favorite wing flavor. I do love chicken wings. Outback Steakhouse, weirdly enough, has my favorite chicken wing. I don't know why. I just like the seasoning that they use on their wings. There's a place where I went to school, this restaurant called South Fork. Their wings rivaled Outback's, but definitely still Outback is my favorite. And also Buffalo Wild Wings has a dry buffalo rub that I really enjoy. So between those three are my favorite, I guess. The next question from Johnny is, what cartoon character do you think is most like you? I don't know. Cartoon character that's most like me. I've never really thought about this, I guess. I tried to look over the questions before so I could have an idea of what I was going to say, but some of Jan's questions it was like writing a report. I was just like, come on. But I enjoyed it. It's fun. If I had to choose cartoon character, I'm going to go with... I don't know. I have no idea. I'm going to ask Johnny make that when it's his turn for this interview so that he can answer it for me. How about that? So the next question is from Jan, and he asks, I was given 3 artifacts from video game archives: TurboGrafx 16, Sega Dreamcast, Nintendo Virtual Boy. I can't keep them all. I have to sell one, keep one, burn one. I would sell my Virtual Boy. I would keep my Dreamcast and burn the TurboGrafx 16. Dreamcast um, solely for Crazy Taxi, because I love that game. Next question is Johnny asking what my favorite STD is. My favorite STD is one that he doesn't have and one that I do have, so that I can give it to him. Is that too gay? Oh well, that's my answer. Next question is from Jan. He asks, basically in a nutshell, the WWE has become the #1 form of entertainment, and I'm hired to bring relevancy back to another sport. And how would I do that? And if there would be any sort of heels or backstage drama, and if the players have to stay in character at all. I don't know if I would hire writers at all. What I really want to see is, I want to see more locker room type things, snippets in basketball, at basketball games and basketball locker rooms. Because I know a lot of those guys, and I know all teams do it, but I would like to see it in basketball, just because of like LeBron and Kobe, Kevin Durant, Carmelo. There's a lot of there's a few like top names, so I want to hear like what other people think about them, and I think it would be like a really good kind of reality show, where it's like, backstage, or in the locker room with the players. They would really, I don't know, I would enjoy that a lot, just to see what people say about each other, and like LeBron this, LeBron that, or just for Maurice, Derrick Rose, I guess. Even though I'm not a Bulls fan, I'm not a real big basketball fan, I guess. I watch it when the playoffs are on, because that's when it means something. I think the heels and the faces would determine themselves. I think it would be just like any sport. I think you would have people who hate them, people who don't, whether they're good or bad. But you would have your top, Lakers, Heat, Bulls, Celtics, Spurs, and I think they would be the top runners. And then I think people would be able to choose how they go like that. I think people should. Again, because it would be a reality show, there wouldn't be characters to stay in. People would be themselves. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question, Jan. The next question is from Jan again, asking, since we've been using bit strips a lot in kayfabe and on Facebook, who I would like to see an active member of kayfabe turn into a bit strip. I don't know if Eric Stensland has one, but I would like to see his. I would also like to see Maurice with one. Maurice Prophet. And then I don't know if Mickey O'Reilly has one, but I would like to see him. He's an active member that I haven't seen on that. And I don't know if Glenn has one either, or Robert Douse. Those would be the guys. Kind of some of the main guys that post on kayfabe a lot that I haven't seen, at least with the bit strips. The next question is from Eric Stensland, asking me to explain my disdain for Randy Orton. He's boring. He's boring, and he's boring. Yep. And then there's a second part to the question: where were you during WrestleMania 19? Oh, I hate talking about WrestleMania 19 because it was in Seattle at Safeco Field. I live about 20 minutes from Safeco Field. I was a senior in high school during WrestleMania 19. Me and some of my buddies were gonna go, and we decided that we knew a bunch of people that worked at Safeco Field. We were gonna try to get tickets to them, and then it just fell through, and then we never went. I unfortunately had to watch WrestleMania 19 on pay-per-view at a friend's house, and I was really angry because I wish I was there. So I was at a friend's house. Eric, you know him, Kevin Pennington. I was at his house watching WrestleMania 19 when I could have been there. So I still have yet been to WrestleMania, and I am planning on going to 30 in New Orleans. Next bunch of questions comes from Brenda, who is dating Eric, for those of you who didn't know. She goes, how many baseball caps do you own? I don't know. Upwards of like 80 to 90. I've lost count after like 60, but yeah, I have a lot. Do you have one that you wear to shows? No, not particularly. Most of my wrestling shirts are black anyways, so I'm a matchy guy, so I'd like to match my shirts with my hats and shoes. So any black hat that I have would go with any of my wrestling shirts. The next question is, have you ever had sex wearing a baseball hat? No, I have not, but I will have a goal to do that next time. Thanks for the suggestion. How does it feel to be the only Asian at wrestling shows? That's untrue because I go with one of my friends who is Asian, so we're the only two Asian people there, and it is different, I guess. I live in a majority Caucasian neighborhood, and so being Asian in this neighborhood, a rich white neighborhood, as Eric can attest where we live, is it's just what I know. So being a minority is not anything out of the normal for me. Yes, I am taller than Hornswoggle. I don't know how tall he is, but I'm 5'6", and so I think I'm assuming he's shorter than I am. Next question from Brenda is, do you drive a Honda? No, I drive a Mazda 6. She also asks, how many dreams have you had about wrestlers, and which ones? I can't recall. I don't know. I barely remember my dreams. She also asks, if you have a wrestling name, outfit, gimmick, what would it be, and does it include a baseball hat? I would probably say no to the baseball hat, because then it would be very John Cena-esque, and I despise John Cena. I've never really thought about what type of character I would be. All I know is I would be a heel, because I'm a douche in real life, and I feel like I would play a really good heel. I don't know what type of character I would play. I would probably be some stuck-up, snooty, kind of like Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H when he first came into the WWF. Kind of like that, but not as regal or pristine, but more, I guess, more corporate, maybe? I don't know. Something like that. The next question from Brenda is, how many times have you rewinded a Divas match to see a vag shot? I don't know. Multiple? Who hasn't? I know Eric has. Probably. Sorry, Eric. She also asked, where were you when Mr. McMahon's limo was blown up? I don't know. I don't even think I was watching wrestling at that time. I'm really bad with dates on wrestling events, so unless I'm really into it, I don't remember where I was. I was probably picking my nose or something. I have no idea. She also asked, who shot JR? I don't know who JR is. I don't know if Jim Ross was shot at. Maybe he was. If he was shot at, and that's who you're referring to, I'm going to say he was John Cena, just because I hate him. And then she also asks if I'm a tits, ass, or legs guy. Probably an ass guy, definitely. all three are nice. Personally, the first thing I notice on girls is eyes. And it sounds very cliche, and you don't want to be that guy, but eyes are kind of the biggest thing that I look for first. Eyes and smiles. I feel like I'm making a dating video right now. I like long walks on the beach and sushi. My favorite cage match, asks Brenda. Favorite cage match probably be... Does it have to be a cage match? It can be a cell match, because King of the Ring, Undertaker, Mankind, definitely definitive in wrestling history. Jimmy Snuka jumping off the cage in Madison Square Garden, again, very historic thing. Anything in a blue cage, because I miss it so much. And then the last question from Brenda is the best wrestling documentary or wrestle documentary. I really enjoyed Card Subject to Change, but I guess that doesn't mean anything because it's about indie wrestling, so it's irrelevant. So I guess I don't really have a favorite, I want to say. I like them a lot. Best in the World, CM Punk was great. I really actually liked the history of WrestleMania. That was I enjoyed watching each one chronicled. I enjoyed that one a lot. I'll go with that one. And then the next question is from Eric Stenson again. He asked Biggie Langston's best feature, tits, ass, or legs. Have you seen the dude's legs? They're like ham hocks. I would be afraid. I guess his tits are pretty crazy too. If he puts you in a headlock, you may choke out. Yeah. And then the next question is from Pat McDermott. Favorite Nick Cage match? I don't like Nicolas Cage, so I don't know how to answer that. The Nicolas Cage match where he gets shot, maybe? Maybe that works. And then the last question is from Mickey O'Reilly. If I pronounce your name wrong again, I apologize. A serious question is, how did I first get introduced into Club Kayfabe? Johnny Mick. He knows some of the guys, and he invited me to join. And over the couple years that I've been in Kayfabe, I've Skyped Monday Night Raw with Pat, Chris, Joey, Dan, and I've gotten to know those guys through there. Jan and I have chatted on Facebook many times, and of course Johnny is one of my best friends, so that's kind of how I've gotten to know everyone, and that's how I joined Kayfabe, I guess. Another question from Mickey is a funny question. Who would the first opponents for the Asian contingency plan be? If there was the three of me, Jan, and Rob, or Robert, I would say that we would probably fight Johnny, Pat, and Chris. Just because I think we would challenge them first. And we would win, because Asian people are the best. And then his last question is a random question. Is a tomato a fruit or vegetable? And I think the textbook answer is that it's a fruit. So I will go with that. And that kind of concludes everything and all the questions that were asked to me. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about me and I didn't bore you half to death. And when I post the video, I will also post who I choose as the next victim of this. So, thank you for listening, and good night to all.